Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. If you're just hopping in, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Gotta put that down just a little bit. Sorry, that light gets where it glares in my glasses. And of course, I had my glasses cleaned tonight. It was perfect. And right where it smudged last night, it smudged. I look happy? Why, thank you. I'm happy, I guess you could say. Hey, Jen. I had my glasses just perfect on that side tonight, and then I smudged them somehow, just a little bit right in the view. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. I'm running a few minutes late. Gosh darn. And it's like, as soon as it gets smudged, that's right. Is it Mikey from Colorado? Welcome. Thank you for the badge. So I added something new tonight, Jen. I noticed when I was putting in my title for my live tonight, it said, what is your goal? So I put up, I'm going to try to get 20 roses on each live. I don't know if that's possible. Yes. Okay, good. Glad that I said it right. Glasses are nice. It helps me to see. They're my readers. I don't need glasses other than just to read the comments. Although, gosh darn it, it always smudges right there and then the light glares on it and then I can't see. Thank you for the rose, Jen. I appreciate that. So we're going to see. I'm shooting. I've never done this before. We're shooting for 20 roses tonight. So we'll see. I don't know. I think I made them worse. Never fails. They were so good. I took cleaner to them. It looks so good. And then, I don't know. I guess I don't know. Anyway, so at least I tried with my glasses lately. I'm not sure what that's about. Jen, can you unfilter his comment first of all? Defog the glasses? Right? All right. If you're new here, you're just hopping on. Tell us who you are, where you're from. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Ha ha. I enjoy a good laugh, especially at at myself. Always. So I'm just gonna let a few more people hop on and then we'll get started. I was a few minutes late. Like I said, I went and I cleaned them with cleaner and they were perfect. And then it's like right here, right in my view, right where that light hits it. And then it just, yeah. I can't win. Can't win. Can win. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Can win, can win, can win. Sorry. I'm just kind of in a crazy mood here tonight, guys. You can't. Especially because I purposely, what's happening is I'm cleaning them with the Kleenex and then the Kleenex is leaving little things on them and then I do it with my shirt and then it smudges it. I don't know. Maybe I have a little scratch right there. Maybe that's why. I don't know. We're just gonna have to put up with it or get new ones. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna see if we're gonna plateau out here for a second and then we'll get going. How was everybody's day? I woke up in a mood. I had this dream about my husband and it just kind of rocked me to my core this morning. So yeah, it kind of just put me in a mood this morning. All right, looks like we're gonna just kind of plateau. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. The reason why I started my TikTok, just so you know why I'm here, in March of 2024, I started my TikTok. because in September of 2023, my husband, for TikTok purposes, unalived himself. At that time, that's kind of when I discovered that I had other abilities. I had abilities to talk to my guides, and my spirit guides slowly breadcrumbed me to my purpose, which was to help other people with their loss. My husband and I were together for 32 years. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. And we were never apart more than 2 weeks in those 32 years. And I had never lived an adult life without him. I met him when I was 16 years old. And so after he passed, everyone just kept telling me to put one foot in front of the other, right? Renee, just keep putting one foot in front of the other is what they would tell me. And, I literally didn't know how to do that. I could barely breathe. And after I had decided that I was going to stay on this planet, because I wasn't sure that I was going to. So tonight, guys, we're shooting for 20 roses. So if you can help me out, I've never done this before. It's a new thing I'm trying. I would appreciate it. Thanks for the rose, Jen. Like I said, I didn't know how to do that. And so once I had decided I was going to stay on this planet, my husband didn't leave me in a great spot financially. And so I knew that therapy was out. And I'm the circle that don't fit in the square, the unique girl. And so I knew group therapy probably wasn't going to work for me either. And so, like I said, once I decided to stay here, I had to figure out a way to heal myself. So if you're new to my page, tell me who you are, where you're from. My name is Renee. Welcome. So that's kind of a little bit about me. I always like to say I am on my journey of life where I am and you are where you are. And none of us are going to agree on everything. My page, my opinion. If you don't agree, we agree to disagree here. And if you can't do that, I just ask that you hop off and keep scrolling. I only have 2 rules other than that. And the first one is I just ask that you be kind. A little kindness goes a long way. So I just ask that you be kind. And the other one is we talk absolutely no politics here. Just not at all what my page is about. A million other pages out there for that. So we just don't talk about that here. Jen, did you see that? I could have swore that was an orb. I've had a lot of them lately. Aw, thank you for the heart, me. I appreciate that so much. Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for the badge. Anyway, so when I go live, I usually have a topic. Just know that we are not shy here. My page depends on you communicating with me back and forth. You didn't see it. We'll have to keep track. It was within the first, 5 minutes, looks like. Hey, how are you, Tim? Where are you from? Thank you for joining us tonight. And so I forgot where I was at. Welcome to my page. This is what happens. Old age, right? You just lose track of where you're talking about. Oh, that's what it was. So when I go live, what I was first saying is we are not shy here. My page was created. If you have a loss or you're lonely and you just need a place to go, welcome to my page. This is what my community was created for. Gastonia, North Carolina. Welcome. Glad to have you here. And so you're never interrupting me. I always feel that the topic goes where the topic is supposed to go. Even if I have a topic and I'm talking about one, if we stray off, that's okay. I believe that's what's meant to be is meant to be. So if you're just hopping on with us, tell us who you are, where you're from. I always like to know who I'm talking to and where you're from. Can't guarantee I'll remember, but I try. So tonight we're talking about communication and building relationships and kind of intermingling all of that. So first of all, we're talking about, so who do we communicate with generally, right? Our friends, our partners, family, and ourself. I put self in there because I think sometimes we forget to communicate with ourselves, right? We just forget about ourselves. We don't fill up our cup when it's needed, and we don't talk to ourselves. And when we do talk to ourselves, we have very poor communication most of the time. I don't know about you guys. I used to be really, really bad at that, and told myself that, negative things and bad things about myself. And so I think putting ourselves on the list is is warranted. So, and like I said, and how we communicate with ourselves is also just as important as how we communicate with other people. Like I said, we're not shy here, so pipe in anytime. Hopefully comments will come through tonight. I don't have any of my filters on. TikTok loves to filter me. Sometimes though, my mod that's on can see comments that I can't. So hopefully they're not going to do that tonight. I am a female, even though my name doesn't sound like it. I'm from Florence, South Carolina. Rex. Well, welcome, Rex. Glad to have you, and thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. So tonight, guys, I'm trying something a little different too. I'm shooting for 20 roses. I've never done that before. We're going to kind of just start doing that just as a goal, just so I have a goal. It's good to have a goal, right? If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Rex, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Tonight we're talking about communication and how we use communication to build relationships, kind of thing. Like I said, if you missed it, my name is Renee. Welcome. Glad to have you here. And so, like I said, we're not shy, so you can interrupt me anytime. You know, you got a comment, just throw it in the comments. Hopefully I'll get to see them. So ways of communication, right? Clear, precise communication, verbal, right? Sometimes we're not very clear with our verbal communication. Writing, body language, facial, maybe gestures, which kind of goes along with the body language, right? And eye contact. I love eye contact. I've always been the type of person who, you know, ever since I was a little kid, thank you for the badge. Is it Maria? Where are you from, Maria? Appreciate that. Ever since I was a little kid, I love eye contact. I just believe it's very important when I'm verbally communicating with somebody in person to have eye contact. It drives me crazy when somebody's talking to me and they're on their phone or doing something and they're not giving me eye contact. And obviously, you know, it can't happen all the time. You know, maybe somebody's cooking and they're busy doing something and they're talking. I get that. But as much as possible, I personally love eye contact. Sorry guys, I'm going to move this down again. This little bit. That light clears my glasses. It bugs the crap out of me. So also involves listening to understand, not just to respond. That's a huge one for me. Hey, Mickey, how are you? Glad to see you hopped on tonight. So tonight we're talking about communication and how communication comes into play in building relationships. And so I was just saying that also involves listening, not just listening to respond, but listening to understand, right? And I was just gonna say, sometimes I'm getting better. I'm growing at that. That's one of my challenges in life, and I've been trying to work on that, because I used to be one of those people that would listen and then it's like, oh, I have to, you know, input, right? Just listening to listen. So, which is really important, because one, how can we build a relationship with that? One is if somebody knows that you're really listening to them. Sorry, somebody's talking about me. That's what my grandma always said. Your nose itches, somebody's talking about me. My grandma believed in all those old wise tales. So anyway, I digress. Sorry, squirrel. I'm good at squirreling. But how can, you know, making somebody feel important, right? Florida Mike, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And the likes. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. So it's really important. For those of you that don't know, so when my kids were little, I did Mary Kay for 12 years. And we were always told a story about Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay. Jessica, thank you for the badge. And welcome back, by the way. Pretty sure you're the same Jessica, right? Was always told a story about how there was somebody she really, really, really wanted to meet. And she stood in line all day long to meet this person. And when she got to her turn to finally meet this person, that person had stood there, you know, all day shaking hands, whatever. And when it was finally her turn to meet this person, instead of giving her eye contact and really listening and paying attention that it was her turn, the person was busy looking, shaking her hand, looking to see how far the line still went, right? And not really giving eye contact, right? And so that's why I think eye contact is extremely important if you can, right? When you're in person talking to somebody, make eye contact so they know that you are listening. And like I said, listen to understand, not to respond. Hugely important. And this is kind of all mumbo jumbled together, by the way. There is no specific order tonight. I just kind of wrote as I thought, as it kind of came to me and as my guide gave it to me also. So, considering other people's perspective or feelings when communicating. Yes, now I know there's a huge controversy about, people in their feelings, right? There are certain times where feelings are appropriate, right? If somebody's had a loss and we're communicating our condolences to them, probably not a good time to not consider their feelings, right? When I had my stillborn in 1994, I had a lot of people come up to me and, in my opinion, didn't consider my feelings because they're, one of the first things that people said to me was, "It's okay, you can have more." Right? And I really appreciate the sentiment that they took the time to give me their condolences. But sometimes maybe it's better to consider people's feelings and not say anything at all, right? Not to communicate anything at all, right? In a case like that. For me, I would rather they have just said, "I'm sorry," and kept walking, right? Versus some of the things like that people said to me, right? "Oh, you can have more kids. It's okay," right? Like, it's like I didn't just carry this baby for 9 months and not get to meet her, right? And I don't seem, and I apologize if I seem nonchalant about it. She would have been 30 this year, so I've come a long way since I've lost her. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. My name is Renee, if you're not familiar. Tonight we're shooting for 20 roses. We've never done that before, just something fun, thought we would try. Anyway, so taking other people's perspective or feelings into consideration at times is important, right? Perspective, knowing what their perspective is also is very important. Okay, let's see. And then this is where I'm supposed to insert another story. So if you're new here and you're not aware, my husband unalived himself in 2023. Before that, my husband had gotten sick and was in the hospital for 88 days. What was it, like a year prior to that? Maybe not quite a year, somewhere in there. Anyway, my husband had gotten sick and had been in the hospital for 88 days, had 3 strokes. And when he got out of the hospital, he had to go through physical therapy and had to learn how to talk and walk and do life all over again. And the reason why I'm bringing up this is because, so my husband had went through his physical therapy. He was doing well, but he still had moments where, his mind didn't always catch up with his mouth, vice versa. Does that make sense? Like, he wanted to say something, but he couldn't quite get it out in time. And so after about 3 months, my husband went back to work, and then we had saved up. He had done a contract, so we were free and had saved money so we could go sit on the coast for a couple months through the winter time. And the day came for us to load up the car so we could haul stuff to our camper so we could go sit on the coast. And it was like one of the very last loads. And the day had been, one of those kind of chilly days where you have your coat on, you're frustrated because if you take your coat off, it's cold, but you're hot with your coat on, and it was slushy and my feet were soaked, and I was frustrated because everything that went wrong could go wrong, right? The camper lights weren't working, blah, 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 tire, blah, blah, right? Just how life happens, right? Things happen. And things weren't going how you want them to go, right? Thank you for the likes, Jen. I appreciate that. And so one of the last loads, we had loaded the animals up in the car, and I went in to grab a few last things, or maybe a pet. I don't remember exactly. All I know is I was hot, I was tired, my feet were soaking wet. I just wanted to get out of town because we were on a time crunch to get between a certain state and mountains, and snow was coming, and we had a weather window to make, and it was just a very stressful thing. And so he started to say something to me, and I stopped at the door. We were living in an apartment, so that's why we were having to put stuff in the car and haul it to the camper. And so I stopped at the door, and he started to say something, and at that point I was just frustrated. And keep in mind, I wasn't the person that I am now. I've grown a lot, and I've learned a lot since then. And I feel bad for how I behaved, and have taken responsibility for how I behaved. And that's why I'm telling you the story, because so you know that, we all make mistakes, and we all do and say things, and communicate poorly at times when we shouldn't. And for me, I communicated horribly. He started to say something to me, and he couldn't get it out fast enough. And I was like, what? Just tell me what you want to say, right? Because I was frustrated and sweating, and feet were cold and wet. And, and none of this excuses my behavior, by the way. None of it excuses it. And like I said, I take full responsibility of my behavior and how poorly I treated him at that moment. And so, and I was frustrated. And then at that point, he was frustrated. And anyway, long story short, so we get the camper loaded and we get going on our trip. And about an hour or so into our trip, he proceeded to tell me, "Thank you for the badge. I see you. Hogan, I see you. Thank you." About an hour into our trip, he proceeded to tell me, "Hey, look, I could not communicate to you what I was trying to say because of the strokes that he had. He had a hard time getting from here to communicate that with me. And instead of, just taking a step back, sometimes like we should in life, taking a step back and just breathing and going, okay, we're all frustrated. We're all tired. We've all had a long day. And just, okay, what is it you need to say to me?" Understanding and showing him some grace like I should have. I didn't. And, he told me how that hurt him, right? And very well should have hurt him. I mean, I don't mean that in the way that I should have hurt him, but I knew that hurt him. And so this is a perfect example of taking somebody else's perspective and their feelings into account when we're communicating with somebody, and showing other people grace, right? Maybe they are not as quick to think as we are, and maybe just like I said, taking a step back. Is there really anything that important in life that we can't take a step back and consider what somebody else is going through or thinking about? Thank you for the greetings from New Jersey. Welcome. Thank you for the badge too. And just consider somebody else's feelings and perspective when we're communicating. Because obviously my husband is gone now, and looking back on that, like I said, I'm not proud of myself. I'm not proud of my behavior. I wasn't, proud of any way that I behaved at that point, and like I said, I take full responsibility for my bad communication, my bad behavior, and my lack of showing him grace. Obviously there's nothing I can do about it now other than, at the time I did apologize. And did that make it better? No. Obviously, all we can do is tell people we're sorry, but maybe sometimes just take a step back and, like I said, just be conscious of how we're communicating before it comes out, because even though we apologize, it's still said. Does that make sense? All right, moving on from that. Let's see. Confidence when communicating. This is something I did not have when I was in my younger years. Goldie, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And all the likes, Jen. But confidence, having confidence to tell people how we feel, good, bad, or indifferent, right? when I was younger, maybe you like somebody and you lack the confidence to communicate that to that person. One thing that I've learned in my life, I'm 51 years old and going through everything that I went through in my life is short and tomorrow isn't always promised. And it is important to communicate how we feel to people here and now. And sometimes we get into what I would call people pleasing aspect of us, and we don't know how to tell people no either. So, that's where, having the confidence to communicate thoroughly with people. Very true. Yes. Having that confidence to tell people how we feel when we're feeling it, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, or like I said, if you're in that people pleasing, because you want that validation from other people, not being able to tell people no either, when sometimes you just don't want to do something and you should tell people no, right? When it comes to your own detriment. And, sometimes we just need to learn to tell people no. But like I said, we also know that tomorrow isn't promised, and learning how to tell people how we feel and having that confidence. I know people don't believe this because I was extremely, extremely shy when I was in my teens and my early 20s. I would have never, even though I'm a very straightforward person, I was too shy to tell people things. And I don't have that problem now. Obviously, but have some tact about it and some grace. But be upfront with people, right? I think most people are equipped to handle that. Just be upfront with people, right? Be tactful, use proper communication, right? I feel statements are one of them. Let's see, there was another one. Repeating back to people, I heard you say, right? If you think maybe there's a miscommunication there, it's important to maybe say, well, this is what I heard you say, to make sure that there isn't a misunderstanding there. And being able to, like I said, hear what they said, not to respond, but to understand. And if you don't understand, that is a great statement to use. I heard you say, and then that keeps from a miscommunication. Let's see. Sometimes we think we don't have the confidence to tell people what we want to say. So building that confidence to have that good communication with people. Being able to say no, not doing the people pleasing, which I used to be a people pleaser. And then I realized, and once I discovered who I was, that I loved me and I didn't need anybody else's validation, that people pleasing kind of goes away a little bit. And what happens when you don't feel heard, right? That's when miscommunication happens a lot of the time. And having the confidence of being able to step forward and say, I don't feel you're listening to me, or, just being able to communicate how you feel. And if you're not feeling heard, being able to communicate that to somebody. And sometimes that's tricky too, right? But I always believe honesty is the best policy, and being straightforward with somebody is always the best policy. Like I said, just open, honest communication. I don't feel you're hearing me. And just clearing the air with someone is very important. Let's see. Using I feel statements, maybe sometimes it's easier to approach somebody with the I feel statement so you don't put them on the defensive, right? A lot of times people will jump to the defense right away. Like when my husband was alive and I said things that I shouldn't have said, right? It would have been easy for him to say, well, you were just mean to me, blah, 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 blah. And I could have went on the defense about it. And in that case, that's where you, Jen, can you block that Jake from State Farm? Use the I feel statement, right? So you don't put that person on offense. I felt However, when you said blah, 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 right? Using the I feel. Yeah. Thank you for the badge, but you're still getting blocked. I apologize. Not really. Jen, did you block him? Okay. All right, let's see. What else do we got? And that looks like that's it. Does anybody else have a comment on that? Or am I not seeing comments? Just curious. Or is everybody just really quiet tonight? Okay, well, I'm waiting to see if anybody's going to comment or has any comments on that. If you're not familiar, I also have a YouTube channel that's under Scorpio Medium. So if you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you went over there and subscribed. You'll find all the videos that I have here uploaded over there. The only difference is I do upload my lives over there. So if you do enjoy my lives and you missed one and you'd like to catch it, I upload those over there, usually within 24 hours. Or so. Last night I had last night's uploaded before I went to bed. Doesn't always happen that way. I am here Sunday through Wednesday. Not missing anything that you see. Okay, everybody's just quiet tonight. That's okay. By the way, I am shooting for 20 roses tonight, guys. I don't know, just something new, fun we're trying here. Never have done that before. But I am here Sunday through Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain time. I'm so used to mountain time. Pacific time, excuse me. Thank you for the rose. Aw, and the heart me. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Tell me who you are and where you're from too, those that just shared the heart me and the rose. And so we started doing a couple months ago, we do, thank you for the roses. Awesome. Thank you so much. We started doing mini read Wednesdays. On Wednesdays. So if you have a psychic question, if you didn't gather, Pennsylvania, welcome. California Bay Area. Okay, I am in California also. Welcome. Glad to have you guys here. Thank you for all the gifts and the roses. I appreciate that. So if you do have a psychic question, I do those mini reads on Wednesdays. I no longer try to pull through loved ones from the other side. It's just too hard. What people don't understand is when I have 40 people in the comments with a question for their loved one, what happens is I have all those loved ones going, ha, she can hear me, she can talk to my loved ones, and they don't understand, wait their turn. And so I have like 30 loved ones talking to me at the same time, and it's just really hard to interpret whose message is going to who. So if you would like a full reading with a loved one who has crossed over, I do those. You can email me, which is down in the bio. Sorry, my nose is itching. Somebody's talking about me tonight. My grandma always said, I feel like I'm going to sneeze too. Does your ex-wife feel any remorse? Well, William, come back tomorrow night and we'll answer your question. Put your question in the comments tomorrow night and we'll see what happens. That's a great question. That's the kind of questions that we do on Mini Read Wednesdays. Kind of just yes or no questions, because that way I can get through as many people as possible. And it just makes it easy. It makes it go smoother that way, especially if I only have one mod on. But yeah, if you want to come back tomorrow night, 6:30, William, we'll answer your question. Okay, so Mini Read Wednesdays. If you do want a full reading with somebody who's crossed over, like I said, you'll find my email in the bio. That's how you would set that up. They're $40 right now until I go live on Sunday, and then I am hiring the price. My guides tell me that I have a service and I have to charge, and it's time. They've been $40 for over a year, and I just feel that people don't realize it takes a lot out of me to do a reading, and it's a lot of energy. And so I am going to up my price, not a lot, but just a little bit. So they will go up $20 on Sunday after my live. So if you would like a reading with somebody who crossed over, get it scheduled now before Sunday. Also, I have a Venmo down in my, thank you for the follow, I appreciate that. I have a Venmo down in my bio also. If you would like to leave me a tip, if you like my content and you would like to leave me a tip, you can do that there. Always appreciated, but never expected. And that's pretty much everything I have. Like I said, we do talk about, thank you for the likes. We do talk about loss here, so I always like to open up the floor. Does anybody have a loss or something that they need to talk about tonight before I hop off of here? And is it Callie? Is that your name? I want to make sure. Does anybody have a loss or anything like that they need to talk about tonight? Well, we're still on. Boy, you guys are all quiet. Kalispell is your handle. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, well, going once. Anybody else? Going twice? You're welcome. All right, well, if nobody has anything they need to get off their chest or talk about, your father, if you would like a reading, has your father crossed over or your father passed? Obviously, I cannot talk or think at the moment. Eddie, thank you for the badge. Okay, so let me ask, how are you dealing? Thank you for sharing the live. How are you dealing with it? Are you dealing with the loss, not dealing with the loss? Did you tell me your name, by the way, besides your handle, or we're just going by Kalispell? You're baffled? No, you didn't. Okay. You want to elaborate on that baffled? Babin, I'm not sure how. It was sudden and violent. Okay. I gotcha. And that makes it even harder to wrap your brain around, right? Is it Emily? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. That does make it even harder. Jen, can you fix that so that that comment comes through? I can see it, but still fix it for me, please. I think he was pushed down the stairs. Oh, Pam, 58, thank you for the follow. You haven't processed it yet. Okay. Well, and do that however you need to do it, but you do need to process that. Okay? You cried. Okay, that's good. So you're showing emotion. So you're not stuffing it. You're not shoving it under a rug. That's always good. That's great. What we talk about here is have a moment, right? Maybe have 10, 12, 20 moments during the day, right? But make sure, if you have a moment, it's okay. Have that moment. You have to feel it to heal it. And so have that moment. Just don't unpack and live there. Okay. For me, I'd have moments at the grocery store. If you're not aware, I don't know who was here in my beginning. My husband unalived himself 2 years ago. And that's why I'm here. This is what I do. And, I might have been in the grocery store and had a moment. And for me, and if you're not comfortable with that, go to your car and have the moment. But if it's possible, have the moment. Feel it. Because you have to feel it to heal it. Becca, thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. We're shooting for 20 tonight, guys. So, yeah, just something new. We've never done that. I'm not big into doing stuff like that here, but shooting for that tonight. Just trying something new. But yeah, you have to feel it to heal it. So make sure you're having those moments, and just, even if it's just baby steps to, for me, the biggest thing is just wrapping your head around it, right? Like you said, processing it. And I don't know if you're interested. It doesn't matter one way or the other to me, but if you're still here, if you wanted to get a reading, we could maybe find out. That does come up in reading sometimes of, if they didn't do it themselves, if you know what I'm saying. My husband died of cancer 1.5 years ago. First year after was a blur. You'll come back? Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad you'll come back. Thank you for the badge. I'm so sorry for your loss, Pam. That's always hard. How are you dealing with it? Did you deal with it? Are you dealing with it since that first 1.5 years? Not dealing still, where are you at? If you don't mind sharing. Sorry. If you comment, I ask questions. Never have to answer, obviously. Thank you for the likes, Jen. I appreciate that. I think I'm just now starting to realize he's gone. It's tough. I'll be the first one to admit it is a tough thing. I have lots of videos. If you go over to my YouTube channel, Pam, which is Scorpio Medium, I have lots of videos on how to deal with grief and different ways to deal with it and walking through the stages of it. Just lots of different videos over there, if you're interested. Otherwise, you're welcome to get on and talk about it here. That's exactly what my community is created for, is, people with loss or trauma. And, if you're lonely and you just need a place to go, welcome. You're so welcome. Like I said, it's under Scorpio Medium over there on YouTube. So, okay. Anybody else? Or you guys, you're welcome to keep chatting. Anybody else have a loss or anything? 13 roses to go, guys. Anybody else want to send me a rose? First time visiting you. Nice to be here. I will come back soon. I hope so. Like I said, I try to be here 4 days a week. It doesn't always work out that way. And I'm looking for a job because I just moved, so that could change up again. Hey, girly, how are you? I am doing well. Thank you. Good to see you. But yeah, I try to be here Sunday through Wednesday as much as possible. Aw, thank you for all the gifts. I appreciate that so much. Christopher. Is it Christopher? Hi. Where are you from, Christopher? How have you been, girl? Thank you for the badge, PM. Lost my grandma. She died 100 years ago. Oh, at 100 years ago. Okay. And did you deal with that loss? Pennsylvania. Welcome. Glad to have you here. I should read that 100 years ago. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing at you, I promise. Just laughing at myself for my non-reading ability. Thank you for the likes, Pam and Jen. I appreciate that so much. Things are well. Thank you. Thank you for the badge, Christopher. How are they with you? And no, too, Pam and anybody else who's had the loss, you are more than welcome to DM me if you're struggling and you need some help. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do, is help people through. I can't help. How do I want to say this? I can't help you heal, but I can show you how to heal by what worked for me. Does that make sense? Thank you for the likes. Okay, does anybody else have anything else they want to add or talk about tonight? Anybody? Still a few roses short. Anybody else want to send me some roses? Yes, she was a strong woman. Peace, because I know she's in heaven. That's right. Yep. There are usually always a peace. Usually the sadness, the loss, the guilt, the anger, whatever the emotion you're going through with that, it's all for us. They're in a good place. I can tell you that right now. Thank you for the rose, Jen. I appreciate that. Okay, anybody else? Thank you for the roses. Oh, and the heart me. You guys are so sweet tonight. I appreciate that. Oh, wow, and they just keep coming. Awesome. Thank you. I've never done that thing before, but they were like, I was putting in my little description and they're like, how many roses are you shooting for? What's your goal? And I've seen it before, but I just kind of don't pay much attention. And I thought, we'll just try this tonight and see. I don't know. Thank you. I appreciate that. How is your sister, by the way? I don't know if she ever told you. I was giving her a ride home from work every now and again. So a really sweet girl. Do you know anything about lucid dreaming? I've been lucid dreamer since about 6. I've heard of it. It's not something that I'm real familiar with. One of my friends and I have talked about it a little bit. He tells me he's done it before. But no, not real familiar. But I'm sure there's lots on YouTube about it. That is something I've always wanted to look into, just never had the time really. But yes, I have heard about it, but I don't know anything about it. Thank you. You too. Okay, can you fill me in? Because I'm a little... What's an NDE? Forgive my ignorance. I'm not good at those kind of things. I always used to ask my husband, I'll be like, what does that mean? Oh, near-death experience. Duh. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. I have heard about things like that happening after near-death experiences. Yes. Okay, anybody else have anything else they want to add or talk about tonight? We're getting close to our hour mark here. Well, I would love to have you maybe come on and talk about your near-death experience sometime. Would you be interested in doing that? Are you following me? So let me, hold on here. I just followed you. Is it Katie? Katie, would you mind being a guest sometime? We could talk about that. I think that would be something my guests would be interested in watching. I surpassed my goal. Awesome. I can't see it at the moment, Jen. So thank you for that. Thank you for the follow. And I followed you too, so that way I can find you. Will you send me a DM so that way we can talk about you being a guest? I think that would be an interesting live if you're up for it. Bridge Baby 16, thank you for the follow. And I would love to talk about your lucid dreaming too. I think that would be another great show. Okay, guys. Well, if nobody has anything else they want to talk about tonight, I'm going to end it here. I will be back for mini reads tomorrow night if I have a mod on. Other than that, if nobody else has anything, I'm going to say I hope you have a great night. Remember to make tomorrow great because it's a choice. And I'll be back here at 6:30 tomorrow night till we meet again.